And welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in this 2019 edition of Let's Talk Nutrition. Glad you could stop by today. We'll be here for a couple of hours, as we always are, Monday through Friday. And always trying to stay abreast of breaking news, developments, all the goings-on in the world of health, medicine, nutrition, and all matters related. We get there somehow, some way, sooner or later. We'll find our way and try to focus on those things that can make a difference in our health, wellness, and well-being. Everybody has different kinds of issues, so we try. We're not without issues or themes or topics to explore on this show. And as I was thinking today driving in, atherosclerosis and high blood pressure, those two health conditions, and interestingly, both operate in a very silent way, and can be for many years and decades, are cardiovascular killers. Those two in combination, atherosclerosis is the cause for coronary heart disease. It is the disease mechanism of action. And high blood pressure contributes to atherosclerosis, which then contributes to heart disease, which then is a risk factor for heart disease. Atherosclerosis and high blood pressure in combination untreated, will end your life far sooner than far later, without question. And even with treatment, it's a battle. Taking high blood pressure medications, and once a plaque gets calcified, you can't reverse the calcified plaque. You can do something with the soft, fatty plaque. You can slow plaquing down, which is a part of atherosclerosis. But we are vulnerable. Biologically speaking, and I'm not the only one who's made this observation, the arteries are vulnerable to disease and to damage. That the lining of the arteries is just one layer thick. It's the endothelium. On the inside of the endothelium, you have the media and yet another layer till you get to the outside of the artery wall. But on the inside, it's one layer of those cells, of epithelial cells. That's it. Between the blood staying inside the artery and then leaking out. Interesting. You think in our evolution, natural selection would have made the arteries less vulnerable. It's going to come up today with our guest. And heart disease has been the leading cause of death in the United States. According to some documents that I looked at, some disagree with this, but since about 1921, early 20s, it's been the leading cause of death, followed by cancer at number 2. There is a genetic factor involved. Some people are more prone to get high blood pressure and heart disease than others for genetic reasons, but most of the variance for those two diseases is accounted for by diet and lifestyle. So there's something you can do about it, even if you are predisposed. Your body may make too much cholesterol, or you may have some genetic factor to lead to high blood pressure, or to produce too much cholesterol. There is a genetic component. But most of it's diet and lifestyle. So we'll talk about that today with our guest. There are things you can do. Prevention here is critical. Especially if you have siblings, for example. I had a neighbor who had 3 brothers. All 3 died early in life of heart disease. Now, he was the youngest. He died early in life of heart disease. And he knew that. It ran in the family. But I didn't see him necessarily, he was the nicest man, but I didn't see him do anything special to help prevent it. And he could have. He could have. So you look around and you look at your family, your father, you have a brother, a sibling, sister, whomever, mother, who had heart disease or has heart disease, you might be a good candidate. So pay attention. You can always join in the conversation. We invite you to do it. I mean that's a heavy topic. I know. I didn't mean to start off the show in such a dark way, but I was driving in thinking about those 2, atherosclerosis and high blood pressure in combination. Man, it's a 1-2 punch. Just knock you out. Knock you right out. You can always join the conversation. We invite you to do that. We have any number of ways for you to connect. We like to connect and make contact.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-TALK. Dr. Garko's personal email is drgarko@letstalknutrition.com. Follow us, like us, and share us on Facebook at Let's Talk Nutrition, on Instagram at Let's Talk Nutrition, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and share it and like it and subscribe at Let's Talk Nutrition on YouTube.
Social media is a blessing and it's a curse, and so is the internet. The good and the bad. We try to leverage the good out of it and use it as a way to connect to people. Just so I keep you and myself aware of how dangerous the flu can be. California, this year, its flu season in California is not good. Right now, the death toll is 40. It began in October when flu season officially got underway. And it can last for several months now. And it runs all the way. I mean, it'll make its way into May. October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. My goodness, that's a long time. Half of the deaths, 50% of those who have died in California from the flu are, guess what? One of the more vulnerable populations, people 65 years of age and older. I've said that a million times on this show. Older people are more inclined to develop severe complications. And the one complication that is just, you can almost bet on it, is pneumonia. And pneumonia will kill you. It is a consequence of catching the flu. Why are the elderly more susceptible to the flu? Their immune system. The immune system is not as, it's not up to the task of fighting off these virulent viruses. And when the immune system walks off duty, it's the sentinel of your body. When it walks off its post, you're a sitting duck. And when you're elderly, it's not only your immune system, but other systems of the body. I mean, you got 65 or more plus years age on them. Come back, we'll tell you some more.
Are you waking up each day to the life you have?
Women who are pregnant or planning to have a child have specific nutritional needs. Maintaining optimal nutritional intake is important for mother and baby. Body Vigor's Preferred Prenatal can help mother and baby receive the appropriate building blocks for growth, development, and healthy function. The Preferred Prenatal formula provides essential vitamins and minerals, along with added support ingredients such as folic acid and DHA. Preferred Prenatal also incorporates a bonus herbal blend to help the mom-to-be with the uncomfortable side effects of pregnancy, like nausea, vomiting, mood swings, and uterine health. Support a healthy pregnancy for you and your baby with Preferred Prenatal, exclusively on Amazon.com.
this past Friday by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. By the way, you can go to CDC.gov, and you can stay abreast of the current statistics, the current state of affairs regarding the flu virus, and any number of other related health issues. You paid for it. Use it. I use it all the time in doing the show. That number 19, that's more than double the number of states from the previous week. So this happens quickly. Flu season is in full bloom right now. The number of children who died also increased. 2 children's deaths were related to the flu were reported in the weekend ending December 29th, bringing the flu's death toll for kids to 13 for this season, so as the CDC reports it. Now, statistics are abstractions of reality. They're just numbers. But that mom who lost her baby, it's not an abstraction. That is a horrible, painful experience. Can you imagine? Nevada, Utah, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Virginia, New Jersey, and Maine are the states. You notice through the South, pretty heavy. I don't know how Florida got spared so far. This woman that I was referring to, her name is Allison Eaglespeaker. Her 6-year-old daughter passed away on December 1st. And for the rest of that woman's life, around the holidays, what do you think she's going to remember? For the rest of her life, right? You have to put a real touch on it. You just can't report these statistics. And why am I emphasizing this? I know there are many people say, you know what, that flu virus, that flu vaccine is nonsense. It's this, it's that, and whatnot. Well, okay, you can say all those things and buy into all the conspiracy theories about the flu vaccine. But at the end of the day, you have an elderly parent who's vulnerable, and not have that parent or elderly person, your loved one, whomever, get that flu shot. I don't know. And then young children, I'm just saying, that's a hard, I know it's a hard call for some people. It's not a hard call for me. The mom said she was a beautiful little girl. We were blessed with her. She's adorable, and we miss her dearly. She said the woman she came out and was public about it because she wanted the public to know, make the public aware of how quickly the flu can take a child's life. Her daughter died in less than 48 hours after she had first signs or the first symptoms of the flu. 48 hours. When I tell you these viruses are they're nothing to mess with. Deadly. They're deadly. Be mindful. They've had millions of years to evolve. They know how to survive, and they're looking for a host. The children and the elderly, the third vulnerable population are pregnant women. We come back, we'll talk some more. We'll look for our guest, Jas Mattu. We're going to get on this heart health issue today. Affects everybody listening and watching the show. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. The show will return shortly. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. Following commercial messages, the show will return shortly. LTN streams live Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, and the LTN website. The show also airs on radio coast to coast, including Hawaii, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern. Please check your local listings. We'll be right back. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. The show will return shortly. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. The show will return shortly. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. Following commercial messages, the show will return shortly. LTN streams live Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, and the LTN website. The show also airs on radio coast to coast, including Hawaii, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern. Please check your local listings. We'll be right back. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. The show will return shortly. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. The show will return shortly. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. Following commercial messages, the show will return shortly. LTN streams live Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, and the LTN website. The show also airs on radio coast to coast, including Hawaii, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern. Please check your local listings. We'll be right back. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. The show will return shortly. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. The show will return shortly. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. Following commercial messages, the show will... Nutrition to the 2019 edition of the show. Glad you could tune in. If you're new to the show, you'll catch on real quick that this is an evidence-based health talk show and that we have featured guests that come on, experts in their field. Some are practitioners, some are theoreticians and researchers. They don't work in clinical practice. Others are involved in the natural products industry in some form or fashion as an educator. Some even in marketing and sales. And you know what? They make for good guests. The sales and marketing guests, they're able to talk in a way that people understand. They talk about about things, so they have a different set of credentials that make sense to people. Our guest today, Jas Mattu, is an herbalist. We have a couple of herbalists that come on to the show, and we've had several over the years, some of whom are quite famous. And, it takes a long time to learn about herbs and being a master herbalist and being a practitioner of herbal medicine. That's not something you get some certificate, some online someplace in a couple of weeks. I'm sorry. I've known some herbalists that have studied for 20 years. Some who have even gone to Asia to even learn, spend time in Asia, lived there. That's how serious they were about it. China in particular. Of course, you have India and other Asian countries where herbalism is, a dominant paradigm. Jas Mattu has been on the show a number of times, and he is an herbalist. Jas, welcome to the show. Happy New Year, by the way. And how did you get into the world of herbs anyway?
Good morning and Happy New Year to you both too.
Thank you.
I've been involved with the industry for, I would say, almost over about 30, 35 years right now.
Oh my.
Being born and raised in a family. Although I was born and raised in the UK, my parents are originally from India.
Okay, so you were born and raised in the UK, and I alluded to India, and your mom and dad came from India, where Ayurvedic medicine is a major paradigm, right?
That's correct. So we grew up in a family environment where we used, fortunately I came from a family that didn't really have too much sickness within the family, but whenever we had the odd cold and cough and that type of thing, we'd resort to natural remedies. So I was sort of, born with that inbred there, and sort of grew up taking natural remedies. And I had a strong interest in sciences, going through schooling in colleges, and fascination with the human body. So my calling out there that I felt was always to do something to do with healing, So through my mind, things like surgeries, surgeons, medical doctors, nurses, those types of things went through my mind, and as my interest grew and going through college and university, I was leaning towards natural medicine. So that's where I studied in the UK, back in the UK. I've been living in Canada now for around 20, 23 years.
I see. When you were growing up, did your mom treat you with herbs?
Absolutely.
Did she administer herbs to you when you were sick and whatnot?
Absolutely. So we would have sort of decoctions. At that time as a kid, I'm sure I really didn't really understand or appreciate it. I probably thought that things tasted horrible. But we being born and raised in England, as you may know, the British are famous for their gardens. So we was fortunate that we grew up in a huge homes where we had gardens. So a lot of herbs were growing, fresh spinach and herbs that we would use all the time. But we would often have different types of herbal teas that we would drink and stuff. Should anyone get sick, that type of thing. So I came really from that environment, and that's really where this all sort of started, and my interest in
I see
in herbal medicine, in natural medicine. And like I said, I was always fascinated by the human body and how it works and how it functions. So I guess those two sort of tie together.
So if Gary and I were to unannounced and unexpectedly show up at your house, and you, of course, you're a gentleman, you invite us in and say, and what would you like to drink? What teas would you have available? I'm just curious. What teas would you have available in your house for us? Because we're tea drinkers. We probably in the cupboard right now. We've probably got a selection of 20 to 25. Oh my goodness!
Teas. So from anything from Earl Grey, Darjeeling, those types of black teas to Amazon rainforest type of tea, to your basic chamomile and fennel and ginger and those types of things and stuff. So there's a combination of things. And,
is there a tea that you drink every, that like a daily, just like a tea to have, not necessarily for medicinal or therapeutic purposes?
Yeah, my favorites seem to be sort of peppermint and peppermint tea, ginger tea, fennel tea. Those, I think a lot of it just depends on the season too. Right now, obviously during the winter, fall, I've been having more warmer teas. But during the summer, I'll make herbal teas and I'll throw ice cubes in them and have them as a sort of an iced tea, but a herbal tea. So it just really depends. And sometimes I want a little bit more of a denser herbal tea.
Sure.
Just during the sort of the winter months, and then during the summer it may be a very lighter.
Yeah. What if you were to get infected with a cold virus? Would you treat yourself? Would you treat yourself with teas or not?
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, we lemon, ginger tea, any of those types of teas would be good. Echinacea, of course. Any of those types of teas would be good. Anything that's going to really support the immune system, and not only in our teas, but we use a lot of herbs in our cooking too and stuff. So
you do.
We have a garden here. We have pots on the deck there that are
You say you're growing pot on the deck. Is that what you said?
well, as of October the 17th, as you may,
you're allowed to.
It became legal. Yeah, it became legal. But no, what I meant was pots.
I know. I was messing with you, Jazz. Jazz Mattu's our guest. I was just curious. I'm just trying to give the you're an expert. I understand that, but you're a human being too, and I was just curious. What teas do you have at home? What are you guys doing there? You're an herbalist. I'm sure you're instructing your family and treating them and helping them. We want the benefit of that too. We come back, we're going to talk about heart health. Atherosclerosis is a stealth-like, lethal, cardiovascular-related killer. Make no doubt about that.
Feel tired, lethargic, or
Thyroid Thrive is a unique combination of ingredients to support healthy thyroid, hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal glands, and to enhance and support natural energy, metabolism, and wellness.
With Thyroid Thrive, it not only helps support the thyroid, but it also helps support the hypothalamus and the pituitary. They tend to call this the hypothalamus pituitary thyroid axis. They kind of go up and down within the body.
If those aren't functioning properly, your thyroid's not going to be able to function properly, because what they do is they help the thyroid, they release the hormones that the thyroid needs to be able to produce those hormones, and then they make sure it stays balanced within your system.
It's kind of like a car. Whenever you think of a car, you think of all these things wrapped into one. If you're missing one of those pieces, the car doesn't work at all. So you want a formula that kind of helps create the synergistic effect to support all of these organs that work in communication with one another. And so from this, we have critical herbs in there to help support all three of these, the hypothalamus, pituitary, and thyroid.
There's a number of different things that in our society today that play a factor in a healthy thyroid, and toxins, things like fluoride and toxins that are in foods that we eat, chemicals, all those kinds of things can affect the thyroid health. Pharmaceuticals, a lot of people are taking pharmaceuticals. Another big factor is stress. Stress affects the thyroid a lot. Some of the symptoms that you might experience might be having a slow metabolism. That's one of the biggest indicators. You can try and eat right and exercise and you're just not losing weight. Low energy levels is another one.
The thyroid is a really critical aspect of the body. It's a critical organ for the body. It's known as the shield for the body, and if you look at a thyroid, it actually kind of resembles a shield. And it's also the body's furnace. It helps regulate the body's temperature. So if you're too cold or you're essentially too warm, the thyroid is really there to help bring the body back into balance. And so if you have cold hands, cold feet, you tend to have sometimes thyroid issues. It's a really classic herbal formula that will help support the natural conversions of the body's T4 and T3.
Those the thyroid hormones, the T3 and T4, they're very important. Almost every cell in the body needs those hormones to function properly. And people don't realize that those hormones are so critical for all the functions in our system.
And so Thyroid Thrive is really good for supporting those individuals that have a hard time with dieting, those individuals that have a hard time kind of getting natural energy throughout the day.
Sometimes it just needs a little boost and a little help to get it going again and get it functioning properly.
For more information, please visit us at rcherbals.com.
As I said, going out of that last block, that atherosclerosis is a stealth-like, lethal, cardiovascular-related killer. Epidemiologically speaking, atherosclerosis is recognized as the leading cause of mortality and morbidity around the world, notwithstanding the medical advances on how to prevent and treat it. Coronary heart disease, stroke, and peripheral artery disease are recognized as the primary medical conditions associated with atherosclerosis. My guest today, Jas Mattu, knows a thing or two about this particular nemesis to humanity, and I'm sure that it shows up in your practice all the time. Welcome back, Jas.
Thank you. It certainly does. I mean, over the past several years, as you can imagine, and I know spoken about it several times on your show before. It is very prevalent, not only here in North America, but it's in the world. Atherosclerosis, sort of being sort of the root of cardiovascular diseases, is definitely there. Anything from sort of poor circulation to conditions like high blood pressure, Raynaud's disease.
ED, erectile dysfunction.
Absolutely. Yeah.
A lot of men don't realize that. A lot of men don't realize that is a condition brought on in large measure by atherosclerosis, right?
Exactly. Yes. So there's a number of different underlying issues sometimes that we're not very clear on and don't realize sometimes that are really associated with circulation. And even a product like Heart Drops, although it's called Heart Drops, we sometimes tend to think of it's primarily for the heart, as well as I like to talk about for circulation, that it's there to sort of improve the overall health of, the circulation. That includes the health of our arteries, that includes the health of our blood, in turn the health of our heart. So the formulation, this particular natural healthcare product is really about that.
Strauss, it's called Strauss Heart Drops, right?
That's correct.
It's funny when I mentioned ED, Gary he was nodding off, getting ready to go to sleep. No, he wasn't. His head whipped over at me, and he looked at me and he mouthed to me, "Really?" And I shook my head. Yes, a lot of men don't realize that there's an artery that goes to the male genitalia. That artery can become diseased and plaqued, if you will. I'm turning a noun into a different form of speech. I shouldn't do that. A plaque can build up in that artery, and it blocks blood flow to the male genitalia, and you suffer from ED. And so when they're taking Viagra for Niagara, it's opening up that artery. It's relaxing it so blood can get through the artery, right? Am I right about that?
Absolutely. A lot of products that are based on things like erectile dysfunction, really the underlying mechanism for many of them, not perhaps all of them, but for many of them, is really to vasodilate, to help blood flow to the male genitalia, to improve, tissue saturation, that type of thing. So, yeah, absolutely.
I know, and you're right. It's called Strauss Heart Drops, but it should be called Strauss, Health Drops? I don't know what to call it. I mean, because it can have. Let me ask you this: cold and flu season. We have 40 people in California who have died, 50% of whom are 65 years of age and older. That's the current report from the CDC. Does the Strauss Heart Drops help with the immune system?
It certainly does. I mean, it's a product that contains a number of herbs that have, and as you know, no one particular herb has a singular action, and many of them have a diverse action. And whilst we talk about a herb like garlic, which is found in the Strauss Heart Drops, garlic, although it has an action in terms of supporting cardiovascular function, has an action in terms of digestive health, we know for a fact that it also is a very powerful immune herb too. So herbs like garlic, herbs like cayenne that are found in the Strauss Heart formula, as well as a few others, indirectly do have an impact on the immune system. So, one of the added benefits of taking a product like, and I've seen this for many times, and we get this all the time, especially this time of the year, where people who are constantly taking the heart drops for their health, say, we never get colds, or, people around me are sick, but I don't seem to have. And, I tell people, well, you're taking Strauss Heart Drops, and people are, oh, yeah, actually, I forgot. It's got garlic in it, it's got cayenne in it, it's got, and therefore the sort of the added benefits of supporting the immune system are definitely there.
Mm-hmm. 877-897-8255, 877-897-TALK. Talking with Jasmine, too, about cardiovascular health today. And atherosclerosis, as I was mentioning, is a cardiovascular killer. There's no ambiguity about that. Because it's recognized as the leading atherosclerosis, as I said, is recognized as the leading cause of mortality and morbidity around the world, and coronary heart disease, stroke, and peripheral artery diseases are recognized as the primary medical conditions stemming from atherosclerosis. So you also have lurking in the wings, behind the curtain, is high blood pressure. That, too, is a cardiovascular killer, isn't it, Jazz?
Absolutely. Yeah, certainly. We have to be conscious of those types of factors there, too, that are really a prevalent part of what's going on.
Does Strauss Heart, would Strauss Heart Drops help with high blood pressure? Yes or no? We can get into it next hour.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll do that. Jasmine 2 is my guest with You go to Strauss Naturals, you can go to their website, straussnaturals.com. There's another website, right, Jazz? What's the name of that?
Heart Drops for Life, and that's with the number 4. So
yeah, Arabic numeral 4. Heart Drops for Life.
.ca.
Yeah. What is it? .ca for Canada.
That's correct. And there's also a .com too, so either .ca or .com.
All right. Your heart health. You know, when I look at people's New Year's lists, resolutions, you rarely find on there, oh, I need to make sure that I'm preventing atherosclerosis, that I'm keeping my high blood pressure under control. That doesn't make, I hardly ever, if ever, in all the surveys I've looked at over these many, many years, do I see that on making the top 10. Now, given the number of people that suffer from atherosclerosis and high blood pressure, it would seem to me that we should have millions of people with that on their New Year's resolution list. We'll be back.
Clear Lungs is a unique Chinese herbal formula designed to help keep airways free of phlegm and mucus while supporting clear lungs and free breathing. Clear Lungs has been the #1 natural lung health product in the United States since 1998.
So Clear Lungs is our staple product. It is the #1 natural lung decongestant in the U.S., and it has been for over 10 years. And so we know that we have a really key product, and we know that we have a product that essentially works. And so we know that obviously if somebody wants to take our product, we're really big about 100% money back guarantee and satisfaction of that product.
If a company or somebody doesn't know who we are, then we tell them we're the makers of Clear Lungs, and they, more often than not, everybody says, oh yeah, we know who you are. And a majority of health food stores carry that product.
This formula is used kind of across the world as being a really good lung decongestant and a lung supporter. We have 4 different formulas. We started with the original formula, which is, we like to call it the red label, Clear Lungs Regular or Clear Lungs Original Strength. And the extra strength has the same formulation as the red label, but it's in a slightly larger capsule, so you're going to find a little bit more herbs in there. And there's going to be homeopathics added to that. So you get a quick healing response from those. And the Clear Lungs Blue Label is only meant to be taken for short durations at a time, no longer than 6 months. If you're going to take it longer than that, then you could switch over to the red label.
Then we make a liquid. Liquid, of course, is for 1, people that can't swallow pills, and 2, for children. That liquid also has the homeopathics added to it. And then the last in the family is our newest, which is the Clear Lungs Chest Rub.
And the chest rub is designed for all ages. So if you tend to have a lot of chest congestion, or if you tend to have blocked up sinuses, this is really good formulation for that. So another question that we also get asked a lot is, well, can I take the formulas together? Can I take the liquid and the capsules? Absolutely. Can I do the chest rub and the liquid, or the chest rub and the capsules? Absolutely, no problem. You could intertwine them if necessary. Breathing, it's just a natural part of life. And so obviously we can't see toxins in the air. So we know that obviously through, if you live in a heavily polluted environment, or if you're around chemical factories, or if you're around secondhand smoke a lot, anything that we represent as being a burden to the lungs, we know that Clear Lungs is there for that individual.
We make it safe, we make it effective, we do the testing on it, so it's brought into 13 herbs that are perfectly balanced.
For more information, please visit us at rcherbals.com.
And welcome to the show. Gary, go back to that long shot again, please. There you go. You can see Stephen in the background. I saw him. A lot of people say, who is Stephen? We never see Stephen. We see Gary, but we never see Stephen. Well, Stephen's behind the glass. Gary's inside this part of the studio with me. Really, the most important part is on the other side of that glass. Because if Stephen doesn't get it up there right, we're not on the air. Our guest today is Jas Mattu. Jas is a master herbalist and practitioner. He's in practice and is in the trench every day. We're talking about heart health today. There was a first century Roman poet by the name of Marcus Valerius Martialis, and he's credited with saying, quote, "Life is not living, but living in health," close quote. I guess that's another way of saying your health is your wealth. And it's true. Life is not living, but it's living in health. And as obvious as that is to many of us, to most people, I dare say, don't we find it curious how inattentive we are to that issue of health? It's like we view health as we do house fires. We only call the fire department when there's a house fire, right? We seem to do that with our health. We only call the doctor when there is a house fire, so to speak, when we're sick. And to prevent a house fire, you have to practice certain preventative measures. You know, you can't leave the gas on in the stove, right? You have to make sure the electrical system is working properly. All sorts of things that you can do to protect the house. Put alarm systems in. All sorts of things that you can do to prevent the house from burning down. But humans, for some reason, can't get it into our thick heads that your health, if Marcus Valerius Martialis was right, and I think he was, that life is not living but living in health, close quote, then we need to do better at preventing certain diseases or otherwise protecting our health and preserving it. Because I promise you, it's not a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. When you will be faced with a health condition that will threaten your life. You will be faced with health conditions that will threaten your quality of life, maybe not your taking of your life at some point, but it can make your life very uncomfortable. Heart disease, high blood pressure are two of them. And what's interesting about heart disease is caused by atherosclerosis. And high blood pressure, those two are silent stealth killers. High blood pressure, in fact, has the name silent killer. It has earned that reputation of being a silent killer, and for good reason. High blood pressure being silent refers to people being unaware of suffering from it, because often there are no warning signs in the early stage of its development to alert them. And consequently, they go undiagnosed for years and, in fact, decades. And what is happening while they're suffering from high blood pressure? The high blood pressure is damaging the arteries, which the immune system tries to heal, and you end up with plaquing, and which is atherosclerosis. So high blood pressure and atherosclerosis, those two birds are always hanging out together on the corner. And they're just looking to take you out, if you follow my metaphor here. High blood pressure being a killer refers to the 32,000 deaths annually in the U.S. I don't know what it is in Canada where Jas is, attributed to it. This silent killer is even more of a threat when it is a primary or contributing cause of death. It accounts for nearly 1,000 people dying every single day. 1,000 every day are going to die from high blood pressure. Approximately 7 out of 10 first-time heart attack victims and 8 out of 10 first-time stroke victims are diagnosed with what? Not a personality disorder, but with high blood pressure. I have your attention yet. And that's what's so insidious about these two diseases. They work in silent. They're like termites eating away at the foundation, at the structures of the house until eventually you have to call the exterminator. And with heart disease and high blood pressure, you end up calling, unfortunately, you can't exterminate the arteries. And once plaque is calcified, it's it. It's calcified. And you can't undo that. Soft fatty plaque, yes. There are some recent studies now showing a reversal of atherosclerosis in that form with the soft fatty plaque. The hard calcified plaque, no. It's as hard as the headstone on a tomb. I'm trying to get your attention because people walk around. If I tell people, if I tell them the odds for cancer, and then I share with them the odds for heart disease, you know which one gets their attention? The one for cancer. Everybody's scared to death of cancer. And, well, you should be. You should also be very vigilant and concerned about heart disease and high blood pressure, atherosclerosis and high blood pressure. They hang out together. They go together. My guest, Jazz Mattu, has seen that. That's not uncommon, right, Jazz? Welcome back to the show. To have a patient come into your office and they could be suffering from both. I mean, right? That's possible, yes?
Absolutely. In my line of work and in the line of work of natural medicine, we're always trying to look at sort of the underlying issues of what's causing a particular disease or particular symptoms. And when we do our investigations and go through a thorough history in terms of evaluating, often what comes up is, some form of circulatory issue. And I know, again, we've spoken about it in the past, but as you know, even these days, cardiovascular disease is being classified as an inflammatory condition. So, we're investigating as to where are these symptoms coming from, what's going on, and often, and very, very often, the roots of this are some sort of inflammation that's going on or some sort of lack of circulation or circulatory issues. So the things that you just mentioned there absolutely do have to be addressed when we're, because in natural medicines we're always looking at the underlying issues of correcting that imbalance, and a lot of the times we're looking at improving the circulation,
sure,
vascular integrity,
and Strauss heart drops would help with that. And there's a lot of evidence that product has been around for decades, and it has contributed to cardiovascular health in people. In fact, it's one of the few products in the natural products industry that's guaranteed. I find that kind of interesting. Jazz can tell you about that when we come back. Know this, 30% of U.S. adults suffer from high blood pressure. My prediction would be as the obesity rate goes up, so will cardiovascular disease. They go together as well. So I'm just saying that 30% is equating to an estimated 85.7 million adults 20 years of age and older in the U.S. suffering from high blood pressure. Only 54% are reported to have it under control and manage it. Walking around, playing in heavy traffic, you're going to get run over.
As a family-owned company since 1968, now has spent the last...
go to my website at letstalknutrition.com under articles, you will find in 2018 I wrote an article on atherosclerosis and high blood pressure. I spent many hours in doing the research and putting that together, those two articles together. I don't even want to tell you how many hours. So you can count on it being a reliable, informative, valid source. With respect to the etiology means cause of hypertension. The cause of high blood pressure or hypertension is discussed typically within the context of what's called primary and secondary hypertension. And primary hypertension, also called essential hypertension, is the most common form. 90% of hypertensive patients have it. But it is idiopathic and no discernible with no discernible cause. They don't know what the exact cause is. That being said, there is widespread agreement that the pathogenesis of primary hypertension is most likely multifactorial. Genetics, too much sodium, hyperinsulinemia, too much insulin, increased levels of angiotensin II and obesity, high cholesterol, and so on. Secondary hypertension affects about 10% of the population, and the etiologies for secondary hypertension are different for children compared to adults. You can see this starts to get complicated. But if you read the articles, you'll learn more, and you'll learn that there are modifiable and non-modifiable risk factors. Jas Mattu is my guest. There's so much to learn about heart health, Jas. The average person, they don't have, what I just shared, what percent of the population here in the U.S. or Canada really know that?
Unfortunately, very little.
A very small number, right?
Yes.
And it's not their fault. I mean, and that's why we do the show, and that's why we have you on. We're trying to educate. To me, that is the foundation of prevention, is to educate people.
Absolutely.
And I know you're a fan. I know you're a fan of doing that. You work hard at it.
Yep. Yeah. Prevention is really, really key. And these days, I often share with especially the younger population, the millenniums, we really have no excuse as to not have access to this information these days with, technology, internet, Google, Facebook, social media, etc. This information is in the palm of our hands. Many years ago with our parents and grandparents, this information wasn't available. It was, we'd have to go to libraries and read encyclopedias and read books to learn this information, or we'd get this information from our physicians.
Maybe.
So it was challenging. Yeah, it was challenging. But these days, like I said, having access to that information, we know that we can Google various websites and get, fairly good information. Not all of it's great out there, but so there's no real excuse for any of us not to have that information.
No, I get it. But you know something? Yep. Virtually every person, maybe not everyone, but almost, listening to this show worldwide, coast to coast across the U.S., or who are maybe watching it, is a candidate for heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, all these matters that get entwined with one another. High blood pressure and atherosclerosis. As a species, our arteries are vulnerable to damage and disease. You know that. And so the Strauss heart drops can do a lot. I alluded to the fact that it's one of the few natural products that has a guarantee with it. You'll refund the money.
Absolutely. So we offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. The company are confident based on the number of years that the product has been available, its history, the formulation, that the product will work, symptoms will improve, health will improve, and they guarantee their product. And in all honesty, the conversations I've from time to time will ask the company whether they've done any refunds, and up to now They keep telling us the same. Nope, people are happy with the product, providing that people are taking, the correct dosage, and giving it some time. And often, 3 months, 90 days or so is about the average time where, people will notice. Sometimes people will notice an improvement.
They can go to the website, the StraussNaturals.com, or was it Heart Drops for Life? What is it?
Yeah, that's correct. Heart Drops for Life with the number 4.
And you can read about .com or .ca and learn about the guarantee and what you need to do. You might do yourself a favor. Did you, in your practice, what I can report is that there are some non-modifiable risk factors. Non-modifiable. Age is one of them. You can't do much about that. Age, gender, ethnicity. I can report, and if I reported it in my article, that African Americans in the U.S. have a higher prevalence for high blood pressure globally. African Americans develop high blood pressure earlier in life than do Caucasians. African Americans are more likely to go from pre-hypertension to high blood pressure than Caucasians. Do you find that to be the case in Canada as well?
Yeah, certainly, different races, different ethnic, genetic components do play a role to some degree. We know that not only when it comes to cardiovascular issues, but other forms of health concerns too. So that is something that, that has to be factored in. Having said that, obviously there are a number of things that we can change. We can't change our gender, we can't change our age and our ethnic background, but there are certainly things that we can take into account.
And one thing you can do every day is take Strauss Heart Drops. You come back, Jazz going to tell you how much.
Don't be stressed out or anxious. Take Hempenol.
Anxiety Free is a powerful formula for the relief of anxiety and stress, designed to increase feelings of well-being, build resistance to fatigue and tension, counteract stress, and reduce irritability.
Anxiety Free, when we built it, it was important to us that we not only helped people with their anxiety as they see it, but also support the body in the damage that can happen from the nervous system being run too hard.
Anxiety Free is more for the individual that has a lot of pressure coming down on them. So if they tend to have a lot of fear, worry, apprehension, anxiety, obviously, then Anxiety Free is more for that individual. This is another classic example of helping to feed the adrenal glands, because again, if you're under constant stress, whether that be physically, emotionally, if you're just constantly work, and then at home you just want to crash, you get a full 8 hours of sleep, and you wake up and you're still tired, that's a reason to help support the adrenal glands.
When you look at anxiety and how it impacts your body, there's a couple of things that happen. One is, of course, you don't feel as good. And the reason why that is because you release a lot of adrenaline, you release a lot of cortisol, you're worrying, you don't feel as good. When we built Anxiety Free, it was important that we nourish the nervous system, and then we use some key herbs that are really precious in Ayurvedic medicine, meaning that they're from India. Holy basil is one of those, and then ashwagandha.
These are really classic supporters and critical supporters of the adrenal glands, and they're adaptogens. They help the body adapt to whatever situation it's under. So if you're under a lot of pressure, if you're under a lot of stress, ashwagandha and holy basil are kind of there to help support that individual. We have the B vitamins in there. We have the mental support, which is the GABA and L-theanine. And L-theanine, you could also find it in per se green tea. And then from that, we also have the calming herbs, the lavender, lemon balm, passion flower. These are really, really good to help support the nerves.
Your health's going to be better because you didn't have this elevated stress as high as it would have been without the help of these herbs and vitamins and amino acids that help your body deal with stress and anxiety.
For more information, please visit us at rcherbals.com.
Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Jasmine Tu is my guest from Strauss Naturals. Go to straussnaturals.com or Heart Drops for Life, Arabic numeral 4, heartdropsforlife.ca or .com. And learn about that guarantee, by the way. 90-day guarantee. Yeah, you see how that works. And we are vulnerable as a species to heart disease and stroke. The arteries are vulnerable. It is, it is one of the weak links. And this goes back, we find the remains of ancient remains of our ancient ancestors, and they find heart disease. And there wasn't any fast food restaurants and whatnot. So, they were eating about as natural as you can get. But there are multiple risk factors. It's a multifactorial disease. Atherosclerosis can be caused by any number of things. Stress, by the way, is included. Jazz, welcome back. What are the delivery systems of the product, and how much do you take, and when should you take it?
Okay. It comes as a tincture, a liquid extract. So the herbs are in a solution. The therapeutic dose that's suggested by the company is taking 7.5 mils per day, and that can be done in divided dosage of doing, 2.5 drops 3 times a day. But 7.5 in total is the therapeutic dose. From a preventative point of view, one can choose to take about 2.5 mils per day. Anywhere from quarter of a teaspoon or half a teaspoon, roughly speaking, can be taken. So a lot of it will just depend upon, what, if there's anything going on or if there's an active condition that one's looking to do. So I would say anywhere between 2.5 mils per day to 7.5 mils is the recommended dosage. Often people will start seeing results, depending obviously on what's going on, sometimes within a short period of a few weeks. But for more sort of serious conditions, 2 or 3 months, we'll see better results. And that can be an improvement in blood pressure going down. And I know you've mentioned it on the show, but obviously anyone that has an underlying condition and is on medication should obviously seek the advice of their health expert prior to taking the product, so that, especially for things like blood pressure, which can be monitored, on an ongoing basis, because taking products like the Strauss Heart Drops will certainly impact blood pressure in a positive manner. So monitoring the blood pressure through, either self-monitoring or through their health practitioner is key, so that, they can
sure.
Talk about any reduction.
Do you encourage your patients to buy a blood pressure cuff?
Absolutely. In fact, it's one of the most common conversations I have with my patients initially, even in the first consultation, of looking at investing in a tool like a blood pressure cuff. And I'm a firm believer that every home should have something like this. And you mentioned that it's a condition that's so prevalent in every household. It's a tool that's going to cost anywhere from $50 to $100 approximately.
Worth it.
And this is a very important tool that we can have in our homes to monitor our blood pressure periodically. It's not something we need to be sort of over paranoid about.
Well, let me ask.
That gives us a lot of information.
Let me ask you, when would be the best time of day for people, or times of day, to take blood pressure, or doesn't it make any difference?
I certainly, usually first thing in the morning is ideal. Often, before sort of any activity, often before any type of of beverage or something like caffeine or something which may be a stimulant and it should be always taken on recommended it's taken on the left arm with the person sitting down. So these and resting for at least 5 to 10 minutes prior to taking the blood pressure. Ideally, when you are taking it like that, it's important that consecutive readings are taken in the same manner. So, for instance, if I take one today with me relaxing, and I take one, in a few days' time after I've had dinner or been running around doing errands and so on and so forth, perhaps had a cup of coffee, the blood pressure is going to be different.
Okay.
So do you want to keep some consistent? So always perhaps first thing in the morning, and that way you've got a number of readings that are very consistent with each other.
So the classification for blood pressure, normal, and if you disagree with this classification, Jazz, let me know. Normals, your systolic pressure should be less than 120 millimeters of mercury, and the diastolic should be 80 millimeters of mercury. Prehypertension is anywhere between 120 and 139 over 80 to 89. Stage 1 hypertension is 140 to 159 over 90 to 99. Second stage is greater than 160 millimeters of mercury over 100 millimeters, greater than 100 millimeters of mercury. That's from the Institutes of Health. Do you essentially agree with that classification, or do you have a different?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Those numbers that you mentioned are very much the sort of the scale of measurements there that are out there and stuff, and these are similar to what the World Health Organization put out there.
Sure.
They may vary very slightly from country to country, but more or less, that's the sort of the benchmark of.
Some people seem to think that when they have a blood pressure of 140 over 80 or 140 over 90, that's just fine. That's stage 1 hypertension, man.
It can be, certainly. And some of it will also be dependent upon, the age, because as we know, as we do age, that blood pressure can start creeping up there. So there's a number of factors that sort of come into play there that one has to look at, but that's usually enough for at least for us indicators to start paying attention to something like this. When those numbers start coming up, that's when I say people, there are tools out there that are going to give us this information, so we do want to pay attention to it and say, okay, what's going on down here.
You can go to letstalknutrition.com and find my article on high blood pressure. It's entitled High Blood Pressure, a Lethal Cardiovascular Silent Killer. And that classification system and much more is found there. Different pharmaceuticals that are used, the modifiable risk factors, non-modifiable risk factors. There's a lot of information in that article. Come back, we'll have the LTN health question of the day. This topic affects every single person listening and watching this show, without exception.
Want to get at the core issues that make weight loss so difficult?
return shortly. LTN streams live Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, and the LTN website. The show also airs on radio coast to coast, including Hawaii, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern. Please check your local listings. We'll be right back. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. The show will return shortly. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. The show will return shortly. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. Following commercial messages, the show will return shortly. LTN streams live Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, and the LTN website. The show also airs on radio coast to coast, including Hawaii, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern. Please check your local listings. We'll be right back. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. The show will return shortly. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. The show will return shortly. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. Following commercial messages, the show will return shortly. LTN streams live Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, and the LTN website. The show also airs on radio coast to coast, including Hawaii, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern. Please check your local listings. We'll be right back. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. The show will return shortly. This is Dr. Michael Garko. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Nutrition. The show will return shortly. Here's the LTN health question of the day. I've been talking about atherosclerosis, which is correlated with coronary heart disease, stroke. Heart disease and stroke stem from atherosclerosis. And now I've been talking about high blood pressure. High blood pressure contributes to atherosclerosis. I had a close friend of mine. I just was talking to him and had a stroke. And they told him that it was associated with his high blood pressure. Well, if he has high blood pressure, the odds are darn good that he has atherosclerosis. And running high blood pressure is a risk factor for stroke. Now, with respect to coronary heart disease, how many people in the United States die annually from coronary heart disease, which tracks back to atherosclerosis? Okay. 37,000 or 370,000? How many people die annually from coronary heart disease? 37,000 or 370,000? You have the right answer. You win a $25 supplement gift card. You can make your way to your favorite health store and get some Strauss Heart Drops.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-TALK.
Welcome back, Jazz. Have people in taking the Strauss Heart Drops? How much a day did you say that it is recommended?
The sort of therapeutic dose is recommended 7.5 mils per day. So that can be taken in three divided doses of 2.5 mils.
Are you talking about milliliters? Milliliters?
That's correct.
What does that? What's that equivalent to? A teaspoon? A tablespoon? What?
That's about a teaspoon and a half. So we say a teaspoon is approximately 5 mils. So it'd be a teaspoon and a half. And in fact, the product that comes with a graduated pipette, so that when people take the product, they can actually just measure that amount. Actually, with the actual dropper itself, it is calibrated. So
yeah, it makes it easy.
And absolutely, and from a preventative point of view, if people are looking to take it just to support, circulation, you can take as little as 2.5 mils, which is about a half a teaspoon.
Let's go to Tampa, Florida, and a listener or viewer there in Tampa called Dell. Dell, Happy New Year. I know who you are. I'm just messing with you.
And a Happy New Year to you, too.
Have you worried about high blood pressure or atherosclerosis in your life?
Yes, they've brought it to my attention when I went in, and they pegged me at 200 on the
blood pressure.
Yeah, and said that shouldn't be there.
It's too high, man.
Yes, it is, and so they brought it down with one of the drugs, and right now we're doing a little bit of adjusting on it, stuff like that. But for a good while here now, I've been hitting 114 over 55 or something like that.
That's good. All right, so I'll give you an unsolicited piece of advice. And I know there's side effects with these high blood pressure drugs. I know that. Don't stop taking that drug. Okay? Don't do it. And I don't care what naturopath, psychopath, or any other kind of path tells you to do that. Don't do it. You continue to take that medication under your doctor's supervision. Strauss Heart Drops is not garlic is not contraindicated with high blood pressure medications that I know of. Would you agree with that, Jazz, or do you know of an exception? Jazz, where'd he go? I don't know. So continue to take your medications, but if you decide to take a product like Strauss Heart Drops, you may notice that as time goes on, that you could take less of the medication. That has been reported by patients when they take a product such as this.
I'm apt to supplement too.
Okay. Jazz, do you know Strauss Heart Drops is not contraindicated for any high blood pressure med, is it?
With regards to the product, it's not. There's no specific medication that it is contraindicated with. However, we do recommend, obviously, that you consult your health professional, let them know that you're taking the product. But generally speaking, it's considered to be relatively safe to be taken in conjunction with many of the medications out there.
Dell, how many blood pressure medications are you taking? 1, 2, or 3?
One.
I know my mom at one point was on 3 because they were trying to figure out what to do. I mean, it was a mess because you got multiple systems involved. You got your cardiovascular system, your kidneys, and your lungs. And when those 3 systems, when you're having system failure with all 3 of them, it drives doctors crazy. They're trying to bring those systems back into balance because they're all implicated with blood pressure. So anyway, just keep taking your meds. How long have you been taking those meds?
Oh, about 6 months.
Okay. Yeah, well, they got it down to 114 over what? You say 80?
Oh, no, 50. 55.
Do you feel better?
Well, I can't really say that I do because I guess that's why they call it the silent killer.
Do you feel less fatigued?
No. Well, yeah, my energy level has been up, but it usually is anyway.
Okay. Well, Good luck with that. What's the answer to the question? How many people die annually from coronary heart disease? 37,000 or 370,000?
Unfortunately, 370,000.
Right. And that number is not abating. It most likely is going to go up. As the obesity epidemic and the type 2 diabetes epidemic get worse, so too will atherosclerosis and high blood pressure. That's just the way it rolls. Congratulations. Happy New Year. And thanks for listening to the show.
And to all of you, Happy New Year, too. Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Jazz, thank you for being on today and sharing your insight and clinical experience with the audience. Strauss Heart Drops. Go to Heart Drops for Life, the Arabic numeral 4.com or .ca, and learn more about it. Sold in fine health stores throughout the United States and Canada, North America generally. Jazz, thank you so much. Give our best to everybody at Strauss Naturals.
Thank you.
All right, have a good day. You headed off to the clinic?
I am indeed. Yes, I am. You have a wonderful day yourself, too.
All right, man. Take care of yourself up there in British Columbia, man. Thank you so much. We'll come back. We'll try this again tomorrow. Repetition. Your health is your wealth. I'll see you tomorrow.